All right, before we get out of here, I wanted to talk for a minute about these scoring bursts around the NBA. So I actually watched the end of that Mavericks Hawks game last night. It was hilarious as Luka was just torching the Hawks in single coverage, and the Hawks were putting forth one of the more embarrassing defensive efforts I've ever seen. And then suddenly, when Luka gets into these like mid 60s, the Hawks are like, okay, now we're gonna play defense. And like they're sitting in a stance and they're making extra rotations and they're doing all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of embarrassing. Like when it came to winning the game, you weren't overly interested in competing. But now that it's about stopping Luka from getting a record, now you're all deeply invested. But it wasn't just that. We had Devin Booker go for 60 plus. I saw a stat that was completely bonkers. I can't remember the exact number, but it was like 23 times Devin Booker has made 6 threes in a game and not made a seventh. Like that's legitimately crazy. Like think about that. Like that would have been weird after the 10th time, and it's happened 20 plus times. And then he ended up missing a tough pull up three at the buzzer in the loss to the Pacers. But like, we also had a 70 piece from Joel Embiid what was that, like a week ago or so. But here's the thing. What was bothering me the most as we were watching that was everyone talking about how scoring is overinflated in the NBA, and people talking about how it's bad television and all this different stuff, a lot of like negative stuff, which is weird to me because like my first instinct is to say, how about we just have some fun? It's January, guys. It's January. We are halfway through this thing. Not even halfway when you factor in the playoffs. Like, can we just have some fun? Can we just sit there and enjoy it? I enjoyed watching that game last night. Like, the second piece of it is so much of this revisionist history as it pertains to what NBA basketball used to be like drives me crazy. And I've been dealing with this my entire life because obviously I grew up around the game, and over the years I've played with a lot of older basketball players, like just at pickup runs, I'd be chatting with them on the sideline and we'd talk NBA hoops. And a consistent thing is like, oh, these guys back then were way better. The officiating was more pure for the game. Like the ball movement was better. This was better. Like everything used to be better, which fundamentally I just disagree with. I mean, you don't have to look around very hard to find out that all professional sports are evolving in a positive way, right? Like, do you remember what NFL offenses used to look like 15 years ago? And then you look at it today, and the different packages they use, and the different like motion concepts and shovel passes and all this like the route concepts and all these like incredibly complex ways that NFL offenses can work, right? And you've got guys like Shanahan and McVay out there that are like transcendent offensive minds that are changing the game as we know it, right? You watch Major League Baseball, and it used to be like when a guy threw 100 miles an hour, it was a big deal. And now like every team has like 4 relievers that can throw 100 miles an hour. And like 2 of them have a nasty two-seamer that dives off to the right like 12 inches and nobody can hit it. You know what I mean? Like big shock. We've worked on biomechanics and we know how to pitch better now than we used to. Like, and then NBA offenses, like, everything about guarding in the NBA right now is so much more difficult than it used to be. Doris Burke was doing a bit about it in the first half of the Lakers-Warriors game tonight. Like, to start with, the sheer amount of offensive skill on the floor is way, way, way above what it used to be. And this is something that slowly took place, especially as a result of guys like Steph Curry and Damian Lillard in that mid 2010s stretch when they were kind of like changing the way guards played. Between Luka's later, but like LeBron bringing in kind of heliocentric basketball. When LeBron came into the league, he was running along the baseline off of floppy action, which is like just running off of baseline screens as like a 2 guard looking for catch and shoot jump shots. That's not now Luka gets drafted, and it's like, here's the keys to the offense, Luka. We're going to put 2 shooters in the weak side corner, or in the 2 corners. We're going to put another shooter on the weak side wing, and we're going to have a rim runner for you. And we're just going to construct an offense around your strengths. It's just different now. It used to be that you had big, bruising power forwards that were primarily in the game just to beat the hell out of people. And now it's like Harrison Barnes plays the 4, right? Now it's like Pascal Siakam plays the four. It's just different now. Jonathan Kuminga plays the four. You're getting high-powered offensive players at least four position groups. And then now we're seeing the rise of these offensive fulcrum centers from the perimeter. Sabonis and Anthony Davis and Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. And like, it is, it is just, it is so much harder now. And then to top it all off, you give anybody any space these days and they're hitting a pull-up jump shot in your grill. You die on a screen for a second, the dude's rising from 27 feet and hitting a tough pull-up jump shot. It is just objectively harder than it used to be. And then when defenses get into rotation, when one guy gets beat off the dribble, it just turns into this chaos situation and everyone can shoot. So you're trying to chase a guy off the line and you're trying to do all this stuff. Like, it is just hard to play defense now. So between how difficult it is to guard, between the way offenses are set up to actually accentuate your best player's strengths, because guess what? We're just better at it now. We're better at coaching NBA offense now than we used to be. And then the last piece of it that I wanted to hit, like, when it comes to these scoring totals, this is kind of what January basketball can be like sometimes. I don't see dudes putting up 70 in the playoffs. Schematically, they'll take it away. If a guy, like, look at the Lakers-Warriors series last year. Look at all the defensive adjustments that took place just simply because the Lakers were struggling to guard Steph Curry and pick and roll. Every single adjustment for both teams was like the Lakers trying to figure out how to deal with Steph, the Warriors trying to figure out how to deal with Anthony Davis, and you're all making these adjustments, and you would never let a guy just torch you for 60, 65 points. This is January basketball. Joel Embiid did it. Wasn't it against the San Antonio Spurs? Luka did it against the Atlanta Hawks. Devin Booker did it against one of the worst defensive teams in the league in the Indiana Pacers. Like, a big part of this is just January hoops, like good scores going off against bad defensive teams that don't have a lot to play for, which, by the way, also happened 20 years ago. This is not a new trend. This has been a consistent theme throughout NBA history. So, like, to kind of put a bow on it, like, how about when this happens, we just sit back and be basketball fans instead of trying to rewrite NBA history? Like, I have my issues with the NBA. I don't like the way it's officiated. Like, I think officiating is a massive problem in the NBA. Just at the end of regulation, there were like 3 atrocious bad calls in that Lakers-Warriors game. That Anthony Davis rebound foul was really bad. The inadvertent whistle. Draymond Green clubs Anthony Davis in the face, a clear flagrant, doesn't get called for it. Like officiating in the NBA is just it's an abomination. But like as a matter of the game, the players, the coaching, the schemes, everything's getting better. It's always getting better. So stop being the angry old man on your front porch talking about how basketball is not the same anymore, because I promise you, if you go back 15 years and just pick 5 random January games, they're going to be ugly as all hell.